Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of AFCEA and NetApp, sponsor of this theater, welcome to the session on Electromagnetic Spectrum Battle Management Joint with Colonel Andre Johnson, Enabling Spectrum Superiority. NetApp is honored to sponsor this discussion. NetApp supports the warfighter with over 1,000 petabytes worldwide across the DoD, as well as first-party services in the 3 largest gov clouds, and we're able to cut warfighter cloud costs in half. Colonel Johnson is the director of DISA's Joint Spectrum Center. He leads a unit with the vision to be the premier and trusted provider of enterprise electromagnetic spectrum tools, capabilities, services, data, electromagnetic environmental effects, and applied engineering. He's a career cyber communicator and has served as commander of 3 different Air Force units and was previously stationed at the Pentagon's Secretary of the Air Force's CIO A-16. Colonel Johnson will begin with a video, and then please welcome Colonel Andre Johnson.
Good. Video? Is it all set?
Is the video all set? We're good. We're sitting separately.
Oh, it's separate. Oh, okay. So, yeah.
They're supposed to be played upon cue.
Why were they not embedded in the presentation? Yeah, it's an extended desktop. Right?
Our nation's superiority in air, land, sea, space, and cyberspace depends on the electromagnetic spectrum, also called the EMS. Access to the EMS enables our nation's warfighters to harness critical technologies such as radar, navigation, connected weapons, and sensors to help them stay alive and accomplish their missions. Yet, that same access to the EMS is increasingly contested by peer and near-peer adversaries across the battlespace. The EMS transcends all warfighting domains and enables mission execution within each. We are the Defense Information Systems Agency's Defense Spectrum Organization, also known as DSO. Everything we do is to inspire and empower people so that together we can solve tomorrow's electromagnetic spectrum challenges today. The passion for problem solving enables DSO to execute the mission of delivering capabilities and expertise to the Department of Defense. The DSO delivers capabilities and services along 3 primary lines of effort. First, developing and fielding enterprise EMS IT solutions. Second, performing radio frequency spectrum engineering and analysis services. And third, providing joint electromagnetic spectrum support. We do this to help our customers anticipate, understand, and solve challenges. DSO provides the following capabilities and services. Inform senior DoD and combatant command leadership decision-making. conceive, prototype, develop, and deploy the next generation of EMS-related algorithms, models, and simulations. Design, develop, field, operate, and sustain EMS operations information systems. Conduct EMS engineering analyses, modeling, and simulations in support of DoD global access to and operations within the EMS. Acquisition and analysis support to mitigate electromagnetic environmental effects. DISA, DSO, delivering capabilities and services to enable Agile EMS operations and supporting joint all-domain command and control to achieve EMS superiority for the DoD.
All right, good afternoon. Again, Colonel Andre Johnson, Joint Spectrum Center Director. We kind of saw a little bit about the mission and responsibilities of the Defense Spectrum Organization. As the JSC, we're the operational arm of the DSO and in direct support of this as missions themselves. And the fact that Spectrum impacts all the warfighting domains, we kind of pride ourselves on delivering that EMS capabilities and expertise that's needed to assure warfighter maneuver, operational advantage, as well as EMS access when and where needed to directly enable JADC2 and DoD EMS superiority. The DSO why, which you kind of heard in the video, we live that why, and that's to make sure that we inspire and empower others so that together we can solve tomorrow's EMS challenges today. Now, Lieutenant General Skinner, on the next slide here, you'll see, I'm missing a slide, but that's okay. All right, so you'll see that one of the challenges we've received from Lieutenant General Skinner is the challenge of prioritizing C2. And that's one of the things we focus on within the EMS. He personally stated this to us: there's nothing more important than the ability for our senior leaders to be able to communicate at a time and place of their choosing, securely, no matter where they are on the globe. That's our responsibility, and as the DSO line of effort you kind of heard earlier, that first line of effort focuses on enabling information to be delivered quickly, or I should say that first line of effort is developing fielding EMS IT solutions to meet warfighter needs. And one of the things I'll talk about today is Electromagnetic Battle Management Joint and how that's meeting that need today. So we're getting after Lieutenant General Skinner's immediate requirements by, first of all, the development of EMBM-J as it looks at and gets after the effort of enabling improved information and data sharing, as well as providing quicker decision support for our Joint Task Force and combatant commanders and the Joint Electromagnetic Operations Cells. We're also leveraging an Agile approach to ensure we provide more rapid response for our warfighters. So the actual program office leads are both Ms. Betsy Park, she's the PMO lead for EMBM-J, and Mr. Donnie Williams has joined us as the portfolio manager for both the EMBM-J project as well as the Global Information System, or Global Electromagnetic Spectrum Information System, or GEMSIS. That's important because as we get a little deeper into the briefing, there'll be particular questions you might have, especially after we move on. And those will be the PMs that are going to be directly addressing those important efforts and follow-on discussions. So what I'm going to do over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to touch on why we are building EMBM-J and why it's important now. We'll talk about a little bit about what it is, and for those that haven't heard about it, and then we'll also talk about the current status of where we stand, and we'll look at some help we need from industry to kind of move forward in our development efforts. So this is our OV1. This is our operational view. Pretty much our lines of effort are laid out there. The first of four being decision support, command and control, situational awareness, and training. Those 4 lines of effort I'll talk to in detail, but I also want to bring your attention to the bottom left corner, where you see the depiction of all of our domains that are key to warfighting, and the fact that electromagnetic spectrum crosses all those boundaries and remains very important. That's a key element as we move forward, but the first thing I want to talk to is the why. Why do we need EMBM-J and why do we need it now? One of the challenges we've been given is we need to ensure warfighters' freedom of action in the EMS. It has been identified as key to U.S. national defense. That was reflected clearly in the NDAA from 2019, followed up and also identified within Joint Pub 3-85 Joint Spectrum Operations, and solidified within the DoD EMS Superiority Strategy. Within that strategy, there was a mandate in the I plan that followed that stated that there was a requirement and a need to assure warfighter advantage in the EMS battle space, and EMBM-J would be built to fill that void. As stated, we've already talked about the fact that EMS touches all the warfighting domains, so we expect for this particular EMS space to be challenged and contested. So that is the primary focus that we have to look at, as being ready to ensure that we outpace our near-peer adversaries in this space to ensure we win. It's essential that we win here and critical. So what is EMBM-J? By definition, it's the Joint Electromagnetic Spectrum Operations Material Solution for Combat Commands and Joint Task Force Electromagnetic Spectrum Operations Cells. It's important that I state that because there's a very big difference between the capability being built and electromagnetic battle management, which is a concept outlined in Joint Pub 3-85. The material solution is the responsibility of my folks and the program office for EMBM-J, and it has a responsibility to expeditiously receive, analyze, accurately display, and securely distribute friendly, neutral, and adversary electromagnetic spectrum information in an effort to plan, direct, monitor, and assess joint operations in constrained, contested, and congested electromagnetic operation environments. It will provide user-defined operational pictures, relevant data, as well as decision support and analytics, and C2 capabilities. It's important to also note that EMBM-J will enable our warfighters to sense, make sense, and act more decisively in alignment with the JADC2 strategy. Aligned to the DoD digital modernization as well as the C3 modernization strategy objectives as well. It's important to note that we are not doing this alone. We have key partners in this effort, those being U.S. STRATCOM, who is the operational sponsor for the program, and also our U.S. STRATCOM Joint Electromagnetic Warfare Center, who is a daily partner and is also the Combat Command designated user representative. We work hand in hand with them along with the Combat Command users themselves. As I stated earlier, the lines of effort are kind of identified across the slide there. Even though decision support is off to the left there, it's important to note that we are leveraging an Agile software acquisition pathway framework initiative. That Agile approach allows the users to be a part of the decisions we make in the development. That first decision was deciding what we did first, and the Combat Command users decided that the most important imperative requirement was going to be situational awareness. That's important because that was identified as the first selection, and that's the thing we set out to achieve. The Agile approach, within the Agile approach, it's allowed us to touch base, meaning with the actual Combat Command users, in what we call user validation events. We've had at least 5 of those. And why is that important? Because that continuous contact with the actual users of the end product has allowed us to this point to shape and target software development prioritized needs. That's important for anyone who's been a part of the normal waterfall development effort. This is very different. Having the users allow us to change the approach at which we are developing within the stream of the development. The user direct input has undoubtedly improved the SA development. And in the first release, or minimum viable capability release, you can expect to see where we've integrated and correlation of both friendly, adversary, and coalition EMS data. We also will expand M&S-based analytics. You'll also see that we will feature enhanced display of 3D radar detection ranges to include elevation and visualization of that elevation, and we'll also improve on what has been previous red and blue occupancy comparisons, so that we can better predict deconfliction efforts and conflicts. Lastly, we'll be able to expedite spectrum congestion and usage, and we'll be able to expedite that display so that our users will be able to see what will potentially happen within those spaces in EMS. As we've kind of worked through this Agile process, it's also important to note that we've been able to combine what was previously stovepiped information, those intel as well as EMS management or spectrum-specific stovepipes, as well as electronic warfare. This is going to be our first time to combine those efforts into a single product. With advanced planning, we are also going to have the opportunity to do things such as provide ops clocks to give us things to be able to do things like pattern of life. We're also going to be involved in the improving user-defined and data presentation efforts, and as well as, for the first time, leveraging machine learning and fuzzy math to help us reduce product development time from hours to minutes. Expedited spectrum analysis will also be accompanied. These are things that won't be delivered later, but will be delivered in the first release of situational awareness, EMBM-J. So where do we currently stand with EMBM-J right now? So the focus right now, let's go back to this real quick. The focus right now is going to be on the first tab to the far, or the third one, being situational awareness. Primarily, where we stand today, we've received some promising feedback from our preliminary results. We have leaned forward. As I stated, there's a number of things we're including in a minimum viable capability release, well beyond that which would normally be included in a minimum viable product. And so we expect, we've already gone through our government acceptance test back in April. From 10 to 12 May, we're doing another JITIC validation of the capability. And then we're going to have our user acceptance testing done by the combatant command customers themselves in just June, between June 6th and 12th. So what that means for us is we're looking at a release of EMBM situational awareness in late June of this year. So just next month. So we're right there. So pretty exciting times for us. That's where we stand right now. This has been an aggressive effort by the entire team, and I think they're going to be very impressed with the product that will be released. As far as decision support, where we stand currently, that effort is focused on delivering joint task force, deliberate planning process support. Contracting efforts are already underway, and we're leveraging an OTA or other transactional authority source selection pending. So well underway. Again, an excellent opportunity. We expect that contract to be awarded the fourth quarter of FY23. Clearly, with efforts underway from a contractor perspective, we'll limit our comments to that effort right now. What's important for the audience right now is also that C2 is coming. And much like I informed folks in previous briefings, we were preparing for decision support. If you can provide elements from industry to support us in command and control, we're looking forward to talking with you and seeing how we can leverage your capabilities. The last one is training support. The important thing there is that training happens throughout. We are weaving in training throughout each one of these development efforts. So already in situational awareness, we're looking at how we want to integrate the training of this overall tool set. We will do the same for decision support as well as C2 and the others to follow. But training is up there as a separate line of effort, but it's one that has already been initiated. But the important thing I'd pass on to the vendors or anyone listening out there, the important thing is for you, if you have an effort that can support us from a training perspective directly, please let us know that because although we are integrating training into some of the development efforts already, we expect to have some standalone training support as well. So, probably the most important thing for us here is what can industry do for us? So from an industry perspective, in line with our District Director, Lieutenant General Skinner's comments yesterday, during his keynote speech, he kind of talked about the fact that DoD requires the ability to outpace our near-peer adversaries in this space. In order to do that, it's highly likely that we will need to leverage AI and ML. Those who leverage AI and ML best will win in this space. We see ourselves no differently, and so we're looking to industry to help us, one, look at opportunities to leverage AI and ML and data mining. If you're experts in that area, we are looking forward to talking with you. Also, models and simulation. Those who are in large-scale models and sims, we need that support as well. For instance, I'll give you an example of how we're leveraging it right now for machine learning. We're leveraging machine learning today, and if you look at the far right there, that's a model of our current situational awareness and how we're leveraging it today. We basically, all of us collect mountains and mountains of data, everybody. And within that data, it is at different levels of quality. And that is a challenge for all of us. The way we're looking at taking on that challenge, we put it in several different buckets. That bronze is data that is pretty raw. Silver, it's a little better. But the gold data is machine learning ready. But within that data, there's gaps. And so within that, we leverage machine learning to help fill in some of those gaps. We're doing that now. It's also allowing us to fill in some of the gaps for information that is missing for data gathering. But in one of the vignette examples, we talked about how we would leverage it to assist us in looking at interference. First, identifying interference at a particular location, and then building the M&S models on the backside to help us detect similar instances of that same interference in the future, and being able to do that in the speed that we just can't do today. We're already leveraging that in that manner, and so these are things that are not happening tomorrow, but happening now. And like I said, with the release happening just next month, that's what you're looking to see deployed. With that, I'm going to leave it to questions, and then I'm primarily going to look forward to talking to anyone directly that has capabilities that they think can assist us in our development of EMBM-J. With that, I open the floor to questions. Now, as you're walking, I'm going to caveat, my PMs are not here, so all the hard questions I'm going to give to them. Go ahead.
Hi, Mark Pomerleau with Defense Scoop. I'm curious how you're working. I know the Army has a solution, the electronic warfare planning and management tool.
Yep.
That's a lot more tactically focused than what you're talking about here. So I'm curious how you might be working with them in that capability and what some of the key differences are between what they're doing and what you're looking to do here.
No, great question. You talked about the Army, so all of the services have a varying tools that look at electromagnetic battle management. As I talked earlier, there's a concept and then there's tools. We are building the tool set for the joint level, but all roads lead to the joint level. We have regular interoperability meetings to allow us to make sure that we are exchanging the appropriate information from, for example, you talked about EWPMT for the Army, but also the Air Force is building its EMBM Air Force, and as well as the Navy with their RTSO. Each has their capability to do such, but we're making sure we have the integration to exchange the appropriate information. Now, you touched on something that's very important. As we exchange information, that information has to be at the right level, because you hear us already talking about machine learning. We talked about the things we're having to do right now to massage and mature the data to a point that it can be used and leveraged appropriately by machines and exchanged. So that is a standard being leveraged on all of the capabilities within the services. So to talk specifically to your question, for as EWPMT, those interoperability working groups are where we bring in each one of the services to talk about the exchange requirements and to look at what can be done. And again, those tools are built for service needs and tactical needs. We're building this for the Joint Task Force and the combatant commanders. There's some elements that are going to be very similar, while others will be specific to the tactical levels. But those measures are in place. Good question. Any other questions? Okay, for the shy folks, I'll be over here on the side. Definitely talk to anything or I'll address any specific questions you might have and any support needs you might be able to provide us with assistance. So again, thanks. Oh, you got one. Yeah, there you go.
Could you give us a little bit of information about how you're planning to consume from the JSDR, because that's a key component of your
Can you step up just a little bit?
The JSDR.
Yes, so go ahead. What was your question
and
again?
how you're looking to incorporate that, because that is one of the entry points for EWT.
Okay. So the JSDR is one of many data sources that we will leverage data for EMBM. So it's one of many. There are a number of, I talked about the varying fields from intelligence to spectrum to, forgot the third one, but clearly we recognize we're pulling in data from the various elements. JSDR is about one of those, but a very important one, but it's one of many in order for us to present the type of situational awareness pictures we're trying to deliver to the combatant command leaders.
So how are you going to deconflict the other services that are pulling from those same sources?
So deconfliction of the same data?
Correct. EWPMT pulls in intelligence data. They pull in environment data. They have models. And then you left off the Marines with their Raptor X.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes. So it's Spectrum Services Framework, right? So for each one of the services, the deconfliction remains very important, but it depends on the query of the data being asked by the combatant command. What request is being asked at that time? If we're going to the same data source, I may pull some things. If you have more up-to-date data at your service level, I'm going to take that. But if we're both going back to the same data location or data lake, the information will be the same with the same timestamp. So it would be irregardless of where I pull it. But we're looking to pull the best of breed from various locations in the overall architecture. But a good question. Thank you. All right. Okay, folks. Thank you very much.